Hello, everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm your host, Kevin Dennison. Along with me is Atomic Tommy Peruse. How you doing, Atomic Tommy?
Man, I am doing good. I'm just going to preface this right now. I have an irritated right eye, so if you see me squinting, that's why. But you know what? We don't let that stop us here.
No, we continue
keep the
on.
grind going every week.
Like the postman, rain or shine, we're here.
We're here.
We're moving forward no matter what. Nothing gets in our way. And we've got a good broadcast tonight. We're going to bring in the mighty Mafu to talk about G.I. Joe #1 appearance this week.
Yes, we are.
Boy, I tell you what, it was a comic week. But first, we have to recap the fight.
We have to recap the fight.
Netflix.
Not much to recap because it kept pausing every 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of complaints because the stream, what can you say? It buffered a lot, but we got through the fight, and Tyson looked good for about 30 seconds, and then his age started to show.
Yeah, but he was proud of himself, and that's what matters.
Well,
that's what matters.
Here's the deal. I'm a Tyson fan. It's iconic. I don't care if Tyson's 80 and wants to get in the ring. I'm watching it because it's still Iron Mike to me.
Well, and we were talking about this, last time. I mean, Tyson's the only reason anybody watched that fight. Who's tuning in for Jake Paul? Not me. Not you.
No.
Not my mother behind the camera. Nobody.
No, we all wanted to see Iron Mike. We wanted Iron Mike to whoop his ass.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's so strong, he can still whoop my ass, so I don't care. And I would still get in the ring with him for a round for $20 million.
Anybody would.
Yeah,
who? $20 million. You just take the hit, take one for the team, and you get your
$20
million.
Go down, get my money, go on vacation, and buy some better equipment for the podcast.
That's right, yeah. That's about what it'll cost these days. I mean...
Yeah, what can you say? Okay, so we got the Mighty Mafu coming up, so stay tuned for that. We have to do some house cleaning. This is the week. It's Larry Hama week. It's the end of Yo-Jovember coming up. So you can now start to bring in some diapers and wipes and toys for all the good little girls and boys at the Union Gospel Mission. And we're going to start that drive. It starts November 25th, actually, but we're going to start it early just because we have the box wrapped early. So
yeah,
we have everything ready to go for it. So we're going to kick it out. We're going to bring the box in early. But anyway, all through until December 15th, you've got to bring in toys, diapers, and wipes. So go ahead and bring it. We're festive around here.
We are. And look, the ad might say November 25th, but giving has no limits. Giving has no time frame. You can bring that in anytime.
That's true. Okay, so with that, let's talk about how excited we are for Larry Hama. Be here in the studio on Saturday, or not in the studio, I should say, in the store in beautiful Bloomington, Minnesota. Most Wanted Comics, 10 to 4. Make sure you're here early. Get in line. Meet a living legend in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And get your stuff signed. Anyway, all the details are on mostwantedcomics.com. Yep. Make sure you smash the like button if you like what you're seeing. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you go to our website to get all the details about Larry Hama this weekend. And with that, I'm going to turn to Mighty Mafu to take over my seat. And you guys are going to talk about the comic week.
Absolutely. Yes, we are.
Do some wrap-ups. Because I know everybody's excited to see you two. And to get me out of there, then we'll be back and do some shout-outs.
Yep. Matthew, are you psyched?
Yeah.
Well, better be more psyched because we got some big books to talk about.
Yes, we do.
2 released that I know you have some extremely strong opinions on, G.I. Joe #1 and Transformers. So I'm gonna let you go here, and I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you review G.I. Joe because that's more your thing than mine, guys. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes, it is.
I'm not a big G.I. Joe guy. He's the G.I. Joe guy. So I'm gonna let him talk about it. I'm gonna let him talk about Transformers. And then I'm going to talk about a book. So, Matthew, why don't you take it away here?
All right, let's start with G.I. Joe. There are 2 highlights I'd like to point out. The first is how Cobra's really shaping from how it's just started as, Cobra Commander and then Destro and then the Crimson Twins, as you saw in Cobra Commander and Destro. Now they're starting to build up their officers and the troopers and their bats and their vipers to create the big Cobra army that we all know. And they have introduced a new weapon called the Energon Blaster, I think is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And they found a way to harness the Energon and into a bullet. And I thought that's very smart because the Transformers Energon has now been harnessed and weaponized by Cobra. And that could be very dangerous for G.I. Joe. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. At the last page, Rock and Roll sacrificed himself. And Vipers just started blasting him with the weaponized energon, and that would kill him. I mean, I like rock and roll, but I would have wished that he had done something instead of just kneeled there and died.
Yeah, I mean that's and that's sort of the interesting thing, because they've been really building this. Really, I think smartly with the whole connection between the Transformers and the G.I. Joe. I mean, you had Cobra Commander kind of run around with Megatron for a little bit.
Yeah.
You have, in Transformers, currently, you have some people from Mars. I don't really know their names, so I'm not too familiar with them. Maybe you are. But running around with Starscream, right?
Yeah.
And they've been intertwined with the Decepticons for, I mean, since we got introduced to the G.I. Joe characters pretty much right away. And I think it's really interesting that they really are committing really well to the connected universe.
Yeah. And then the other book is Transformers. Now, there are a couple scenes I'd like to go through. The first, it picks up after the issue that Soundwave just beats the crap out of Starscream.
Yeah.
And then this one follows up on where Mars finds Starscream and then repairs him and connects him to a Hiss tank. And so now, yes, he's alive, but he can't fly. And so he basically makes this deal with the leader of the group, who basically threatens him like, if I die, you die. And so Starscream is like, I will go along with you for now. Then he meets up with Astro Train, and then he meets up with the Combaticons. And the Mars people are pissed off. It's like, this isn't part of the deal. Well, the plan's now changed.
Right.
And Starscream basically kills almost everybody except one, which is the artist. I can't remember his name right now. But he is spared and is told by Starscream to draw. And that's kind of weird, but hey, he's Starscream. You know, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And so Starscream promises Astro Train, hey, you want Megatron? I can find it for you, and you can kill him.
Yeah. You know, and this is an interesting issue, too, because we get some, I think, much-needed character for Starscream. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, I mean, since issue 1, Starscream hasn't really done much, or, you know, I mean, we've learned who Starscream is, you know, the power-hungry sort of tyrant who wants to be the new Megatron, but can't really live up to it, and that eventually leads to Soundwave kicking him into a vat of lava, right?
Yeah. Barely surviving.
And this sort of gives him a little character. We get some flashbacks, right, of when Megatron sort of made him kill Autobot prisoners. He didn't want to kill him, they're prisoners of war, but Megatron made him do it. So we get a little character there. We get a little backstory. We get a little not the right species, but a little humanization for Starscream. We can sort of start to sympathize with him a little bit. Not really, but we start to sort of get a little more of where he comes from, right?
Yeah.
And some people don't like that, man. Some people don't like when you take the big bad villain who does all this evil stuff, and some people don't like it when you give him some character. But I think it's needed, and I think it's appreciated because it just makes the character a little more depth. It gives it a little more depth. So I appreciated that in the book. This was the Starscream origin issue. They've been promoting it as that for the last few weeks. I'm ready for it. And now we're getting into sort of a new arc in Transformers, so I'm kind of ready to see where that goes.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, I know you are. You're excited for anything and everything. There's very little that
Boy,
doesn't
ain't
excite
that
you.
the truth.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about a book now. I'm gonna talk about a sleeper for the week. I don't know how many people picked this up, but if you haven't, you gotta check out Black Lightning #1. I think personally, Black Lightning is one of the most underrated characters in DC. He's one of the coolest characters.
I don't think so.
This the kind of hero that everybody can like. Not only is he a superhero, but he's a family man. He's a father. He's an educator, right? He's all the traits of a hero. The do right, be the best you can be, live your life, and I think that's absolutely good. And every time, again, back to the CW superhero shows. Not all of them are great, but Black Lightning was pretty good. I don't know if many people out there have watched the Black Lightning show, but it's very comic accurate, pretty comic accurate, and it really does a really good job. If you're new to the character, if you want to get into the character, watch Black Lightning and then go read this book, because this is really good. And if this is sort of the kind of thing we're going to be seeing, the kind of quality we're going to be seeing from all of the new DC All-In titles, I think you got me, because this was good. It was solid. Again, they did good by the character. The story is interesting. I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing how this is going to play out, man. I really want to touch on one moment. I really liked specifically when Black Lightning sort of runs into Superman, and it's not a very long moment. It's not a very big moment, but you kind of get this moment where, you know, Superman's talking about what happened because Black Lightning sort of ran up on this kid who was just getting powers following the absolute power stuff. He brought him back to the Watchtower so they can evaluate, help him regulate his powers and stuff. And this was sort of Black Lightning's mission. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to help people who just got powers, didn't know what was going on, learn to regulate them. So he brings him up to the Watchtower. Superman calls him up. Superman's like, hey, you know, I heard you did this. I heard you got this kid around, Superman. And Black Lightning's like, is that a problem? And I really like that moment because it shows two things. One, it shows that Black Lightning's not afraid to stand up to Superman. And most people would be, right? If it's Superman, most people would be afraid to stand up to Superman. But
crap, Superman's here.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's I think most people, what most people would do. But it shows that Black Lightning, one, isn't afraid of Superman and isn't afraid to stand to his mission. And that's why I think Black Lightning is one of the most underrated characters. Read the book. Check it out. But with that, Matthew, do you have anything else, any other books you want to talk about?
Garfield.
Oh, Garfield. We got to talk about Garfield.
You know, Garfield is one of those books that you can jump anywhere. No, it's not something like Transformers that when you jump into the middle, it's in the middle of a big story.
Yeah.
This is just random short stories that if you want to get your kids interested in a reading, I would highly recommend it. Because if your kids love Garfield, then they're going to love this.
Right. You know, and
it's very kid-friendly.
you can pick up any Garfield book and read. It doesn't have to be this one. It can be any Garfield comic.
Exactly.
It can be any Garfield book. But I do hate to break it to you, Matthew. I think this was the last issue of Garfield.
Yes, it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it was the last issue. Man, and, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, Garfield, you know, you could have gone more than 4 issues with Garfield. You know, it may not have been the hottest seller on the shelf, but people like Garfield. Garfield, everybody's favorite cat. Everybody loves lasagna. Everybody likes Garfield.
I mean, that's why the movie did so well.
It's made by sort of a lesser-known publisher. I think it's Kaboom. I can't remember.
I think it is Kaboom.
I think it's Kaboom. But it's not not the most well-known publisher, but you could have gone. You have a pretty big IP you're working with. You could have gone a little more than 4 issues, but
I'm sure that they're gonna do more issues down the pipeline.
I hope so. I hope they bring it back. But we got to talk about what's coming up this week now. Okay,
that's why you're here.
That is why I'm here. One of my primary roles.
Exactly.
Right? So first, let's talk about a new DC All-In title, number 1. Again, if it's anything like Black Lightning, this should be good. Question all along the Watchtower. Number 1, we're bringing back the Question. I think it's Renee Montoya. I'm not caught up on all the DC lore
character,
but I'm pretty sure it's Renee Montoya. And yes, Question is a cool character. Again, another underrated character. A lot of people like, popular with the 90s fans, but an underrated character nonetheless. And Question, not he, she is coming back this week in a new little miniseries. I think it goes about 6 issues. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Also, we don't mention them often. In fact, I don't think we really mentioned an upcoming facsimile on the show before, but there is a facsimile releasing this week that I personally am really excited for. And I don't get excited for very many facsimiles. We've talked about facsimiles, number of episodes ago at this point, but we have Crisis on Infinite Earths number 8 facsimile. As a Flash fan, this is a big deal to me, right? If you don't know, they've been re-releasing via facsimile every issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they finally reached issue 8. And I've been looking forward to this because if you don't know the importance This is the death of Barry Allen. This is when he sacrifices himself, goes into the Speed Force, and essentially leaves DC for until about the 2000s when he comes back.
But hey, it's in comics, so they can't kill off him character.
I think something. I haven't read the whole like '90s stuff with like Mark Waid or whatever. But I think Barry Allen does something there, but he doesn't really come back officially until a 2000s event. And this is a big deal. This is a big moment in Flash lore, and I'm happy it's getting facsimile because I want that foil. So the next and final book we have to mention as well, a Francis Manapul classic.
One of your favorites.
One of my favorites. Yeah. Speaking of Flash, Rockefellers #1. He's been promoting this, a new Ghost Machine title, Peter J. Tomasi, Francis Manapul.
Some great writers.
I am hyped. 1, because it's new Ghost Machine title. 2, because it's given a little, Lost in Space kind of vibe, family in space, given maybe some Fantastic Four kind of vibes. I'm really excited for this. I'm going to be reading it, checking it out. I hope you guys will too. And with that, Matthew, I think it's time we bring Dad back because we got to do shout-outs.
Yes, we do.
So,
otherwise, we are going to get heat for that.
We're going to get heat for it. Cannot forget the shout-outs. Matthew, we will catch you next time. Let's do some shout-outs.
All right, everybody. Hey, great takes, you guys. I tell you what, I'm so proud of you boys. You guys, everybody loves seeing you on the podcast. You guys know your stuff. And you two are definitely the most knowledgeable. The reason why we have the most knowledgeable staff at Most Wanted Comics, because you guys know your stuff. Hey, this is a personal note. I want to tell everybody how proud I am of this guy right here. This is, don't let it go to your head. I love you very much, and I'm very, very proud of you. As most of you know who follow Facebook, my oldest son was published this month. New Pain Productions. Thank you to Key Champagne and all the boys over there giving my son Tommy a shot. And you got an 8-page story in Jump #2.
Yep.
And as you can see behind me, there's the panel. There's my boy's name in the billboard. I tell you what, I'm so proud of you. You wrote a great story, and you're on to bigger and better things with them. I hear next year, maybe. So you're gonna go places in comics. You're a hell of a writer. I'm very proud of you, and I love you very much. And good job, congratulations. Coveted claps from everybody. You're published, and if you want to get this guy's autograph, he's gonna be a big writer someday. So hey, you did very well, and I'm so proud of you, and we're all proud of you, and congratulations on Jump #2. All right, with that,
thank you.
We don't want to take heat from all the fans. When we forget, we know we get in trouble. So it's time for the shout-outs, and we actually had a new request, so we're going to start with Pat and his family. Pat, thank you so much for following us, and Pat, you guys, your family's awesome. You guys come in, you follow us, and you always support our events, and we want to thank you so much for being a great part of the fit at our store. You know how we like to serve the community. You're always a part of that. Anytime we do something for the community, you're always there. So thanks a lot. Matt and JD, shout out to you. Dan, the State Farm Man, of course, thank you for being a part of the store as well, and thanks for following us so close. Dean, of course, Jimmy DeSouza, who you will have a special. We're going to have a regular show, and you're going to have a special with Jimmy DeSouza next week.
I know, we're talking Spider-Man. I said, it's coming, guys. Don't worry. We're going to be talking Spider-Man. Hopefully that'll be out for you guys next week.
It's a Most Wanted special with Jimmy DeSouza and Atomic Tommy. David, a.k.a. Superman. Hey, looking forward to seeing you back in the store. Mark, Brian and Brian, Jeff, Ryan, Jim, Liz. Hey, how about Rick and Melissa out there and our Northern contingent out there? Thank you for following us. The Gossovich family. Sydney, Jeff, Shanice, Larry, Chanel, Liz, and, of course, everybody else out there who follows us. Thank you so much. There's your shout-outs this week. And we want to let you know we'll hope to see you live Saturday for Larry Hama. And then we're going to wrap it up here this week. Have a great week, everybody. And we'll look forward to talking to you next week.